Hi, sweet friends. It's so good to be with you today. Today I thought we would read a very special book. It's called God's Very Good Idea, a true story about God's delightfully different family. And it's written by Trillia Newbell and illustrated by Catalina Escovery. And it's a beautiful book that talks about how we are all different and all valuable. Because in the beginning, God had the very good idea of making us that way. This is the story of his idea and how you can be a part of it. So let's read that together this morning, shall we? All right. In the beginning, in fact, before the beginning, God had a very good idea. It was an even better idea than solar panels, 1954, chocolate chip cookies, 1938, the Super Soaker water gun, 1982, color TV, 1942, fireworks, 700 BC, the life draft, 1880, roller skates, 1760, the X-ray machine in 1895. God's idea was to make people, lots of different people, who would all enjoy loving him and all enjoy loving each other. They would all be made in his image. They would all be like mirrors, reflecting what God is like. Because God is full of love, they would be full of love too. So God got to work. He made a beautiful world for people to live in. Then he made the first people, a man and a woman. And he said to them, be happy. Enjoy loving me and loving each other. Have a huge family that will fill the earth and look after the earth and enjoy the earth. God carried on creating people. All of them were made in his image. And all of them were different too. Some were men and some were women. Some liked reading and some liked riding bikes. Some had darker skin and some had lighter skin. Some had curly hair and some had straight hair. We live in God's world. We are all different, but we're also all the same. Everyone you see is different than you and the same as you. They might look different, or speak different, or play different. But they are all made in God's image, and so they are all valuable. This is God's very good idea. But people ruined God's idea. The first people chose not to love God. This is called sin. And because they chose not to love God as they should, they forgot to love each other as they should. We are the same. We choose not to love God, and so we're not able to love each other like we should. We sin. Sometimes we treat others badly because they're different than us. People fight with each other. People are mean to each other. People laugh at each other. Because we have ruined God's very good idea, he's not very pleased with us. Our sin means we can't be friends with him or enjoy living with him. We need God's forgiveness for ruining his very good idea. It's the same for everyone in the world. People who like reading need forgiveness, and people who like riding bikes need forgiveness. People with darker skin need forgiveness, and people with lighter skin need forgiveness. People with curly hair need forgiveness, and people with straight hair need forgiveness. But God was not surprised by people ruining things. He had always had a very good plan to rescue his very good idea. So God got to work. He came to earth as a person, Jesus. Jesus loved people who were different than him. He loved people who no one else loved. He always enjoyed loving all the different people he met. Jesus shows us how to enjoy loving each other. But people didn't love Jesus. Instead, they hated him. They put him on a cross to die. But this was part of God's plan. On the cross, Jesus took our sins so that we can be forgiven. Jesus forgives his people for their sins. Jesus didn't stay dead. He rose back to life and then went back to live in heaven. And then he gave his people his Spirit to help them enjoy loving him and loving all the different people they know. Jesus helps us to love each other. One day, God will finish his very good idea. Jesus will come back and make the world perfect again. And anyone who's asked Jesus to forgive them will live there with their different languages and skin colors. They will enjoy loving God and loving each other. They will enjoy praising God for making, rescuing, and finishing his very good idea. But here's a very, very, very good part of God's very good idea. You don't have to wait until then to enjoy it. Jesus welcomes anyone who asks him to forgive them. And when Jesus welcomes someone, he welcomes them into his family forever. He welcomes people who like reading and people who like riding bikes. He welcomes people with darker skin and people with lighter skin. He welcomes people with curly hair and people with straight hair. God's family is called the church. Your church friends are your brothers and sisters, your wonderful and colorful church family. You can enjoy loving them and loving God with them. This is God's very good idea. Lots of different people enjoying loving him and loving each other. God made it. People ruined it. He rescued it. He will finish it. And with your church family, you can enjoy being a part of it right now. Isn't that very good news? That there is a very, very good idea that God has. And you are a part of it. And he's given us his Spirit so that we can love him and love people and be a part of that now. We have some faces who are part of our beautiful church family. So let's peek at some of those sweet faces. Isn't it wonderful to be a part of such a beautiful church family? I'd love to see more of your pictures, so if you would like to be in one of these videos, have your mom or dad or grandma or grandpa, someone email me a picture of you and I will get it in the video. One of the things that's going on in our world right now as well is that it's time for graduations and the end of the school year, which means we have some 5th graders that we are launching into youth ministry as they move into middle school. I have a couple videos here of some of them who would like to share with you their favorite verse. So let's listen to their favorite verses and then we'll be back.
The Lord will always lead you. He will satisfy your needs in dry lands. He will give strength to your bones. You will be like a garden that has much water. You will be like a spring that never runs dry. Isaiah 58:11.
The true light that gives light to every man was coming into the world. John 1:9.
Thank you, 5th graders, and we'll continue to hear from some of our 5th graders over the next couple of weeks. Congratulations to you all on your elementary education graduations. We know that you are going to do beautifully as you launch into our wonderful youth group, and we are glad to be a part of our church family with you. Friends, we are all image bearers of God. I am grateful for that and that beautiful distinction and the beautiful idea that God had to make us. And one day, Revelation 7 tells us there will be a great multitude that no one can count from every nation, tribe, people, and language standing before the throne, worshiping Jesus. This understanding that God has created us equally with dignity and value and beauty, that informs and should inform our views of one another. Knowing that we're made in His image and that He loves us enough to want to forgive us means that we can, with the Spirit's help, truly love one another. I'll throw some discussion questions on for your family this week, but keep loving Jesus and allowing His Spirit to help you to love one another and love your neighbors. All right. Love you, friends. Bye.